Hello, this is Samse again from GamingonLinux.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about Diaspora Shattered Armistice. So this is a free space shooter slash space simulator set in the Battlestar Galactica universe. It's sort of a fan game, and this is actually why I started messing with FreeSpace 2 originally, because this game uses the FreeSpace 2 engine. It's a standalone game, so it's not really a mod, but I got into sort of messing with FreeSpace 2 after playing this one. Like I said, it's set in the Battlestar Galactica universe, but it doesn't tell the story of Galactica. Instead, it tells the story of Battlestar Theseus in the beginning of the Second Cylon War. You fly as a Viper pilot, and you need to defend the Theseus and its accompanying fleet from the Cylons. And I have to say, this game is awesome. I have watched Battlestar Galactica, I have watched all of the 2004 TV series. And what the developers did is they captured the feeling of the series very well. In basically all of the scenarios, you are heavily outnumbered, and you're constantly running away from these Cylons, and you need to desperately try to defend all the ships from getting absolutely destroyed by these huge base stars that the Cylons throw at you constantly. And you end up in quite awesome dogfights against the Cylon raiders. Flying the Viper feels awesome, and once again it's quite accurate to the flying in this series. It sort of uses this sort of a semi-Newtonian flight model where the ship basically most of the time works just like a plane. But you can also do a trick that is quite memorable in the series, which is basically you turn off all the engines and you essentially glide, and while you do that you can also turn. So basically you can go in one direction, but you can turn and face where you're coming from, and you can use this to, for example, kill off raiders that are behind you. So it's quite awesome. The enemies are quite tough. The game is most definitely not too easy, especially if you crank up the difficulty to the highest difficulty settings, which I recommend you do. I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. You can get destroyed quite easily. And like in FS2, the game also has like tons and tons of keys that you need to learn in order to be as effective as possible. Luckily, the game has a pretty good tutorial that helps you with learning those keys, and you will eventually get the hang of it. You might also need to rebind some of those keys, because once again, because it uses the FS2 key layout, by default it actually bound some stuff into keys that are non-existent on my Finnish keyboard. So I had to mess with them a little bit to get them where they should be. And like I said, this whole game is completely standalone, and that includes the graphics, the music, voice acting, and cinematics. And that's quite awesome, because not many of these sort of free projects have as much voice acting and cinematics as this one. I think this is probably one of the most professional looking games that are just completely free. And it's freaking good. I mean, it's just awesome. The voice acting is really well done. It sounds authentic. The cinematics as well, just awesome. And the graphics are beautiful. They are not quite like AAA level graphics, but they are most definitely not poor graphics either. The game looks very good, and yeah, it's like flying in the TV series basically. Sadly, the story is quite short. Basically, this release is the first episode of multiple episodes, and this one is about 90 minutes of gameplay. And yeah, it's pretty short. And because of that, I recommend that you actually use a higher than normal difficulty setting, because that way you can increase the time that it takes you to complete the game. Because there's no other way, because the game is, seriously, it's very short, and if this was actually a product that was being sold, I would say that it's too short. But considering it's free, I cannot complain too much. It's 90 minutes of free entertainment for me. And hopefully the second episode, it's currently in development, but hopefully it will arrive soon, because I seriously need more of this. I simply cannot wait to get my hands on that second episode. And even though the game is set in Battlestar Galactica universe, it doesn't mean that you need to have watched the series before. I recommend you do. But it's not necessary the game actually sort of explains what is going on pretty well, so you don't really need to know any of the background. And because the game doesn't focus on Battlestar Galactica and instead it focuses on Battlestar Theseus, which is a completely original Battlestar. The Battlestar Theseus was never in the series. You're not really missing much, because all the characters are completely original, so you don't really miss much if you don't watch Battlestar Galactica before playing this game. But I would recommend watching it because it's awesome. Overall, Diaspora Shattered Armistice is, I have to say, an awesome experience. This is one of the best open source games that I have played. But naturally the problem is that it's quite short. But considering the quality of the game, I would recommend that you download this game and give it a try. Installation might be a little bit difficult, at least if you follow the official installation guide. You need to compile stuff, but I think there are packages available in like third-party repositories. But you might have to do some compilation and stuff like that, so it might be a little bit tricky, but if you follow the instructions carefully, you will have the game up and running quite quickly. And I think it was definitely worth the effort to install the game. But yeah, that's pretty much Diaspora Shattered Armistice, and hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and we will see in future videos.